Yes. Everybody rush to the West Ham network. Hope you're safe and well. We only bloody did it. What's going on? 2-1. Unbelievable, Jeff. Why is my phone not charging? So I'm trying to get my phone. Oh, yes, phone's charging. Oh, sorry, I've had a mare today. Oh, what's gone on? 2-1, 2-1. West Ham 2-1. What is going on? Absolutely mental. Proper shithouse second half, isn't it? Moyes, proper shitty Moyes game. But we got the result. We got the result for all of Tottenham's pressing, for all of Tottenham's chances.
Ange ball, Moyes ball, Ange ball, Moyes ball.
Mental. Proper
Right.
proper shithouse.
Well, Russ, the second half was a lot better.
We were a lot better second half. That's probably the best. That's probably the best second half we've had for a long time.
Yeah,
for a long time.
I've got a couple of really good individual performances from West Ham, but that like individual players really stepped up today. Right, I'm really impressed with quite a few of our players today. But the first half, nobody could ever to walk away and go, "Holy shit!" Like, what was that? What was that? But you know what, Russ? The commentators were saying, "It's fine, you're doing that, but if you're not fucking piercing that net and putting that ball in the back of the net,
yeah."
And the last 5 results for Spurs,
that's 5. That's 5 in a row now. They've lost. They've led in the last 5 games and have not won.
Yeah.
And that's when we had Flav on the other day. He said it's like having a heart attack every game. It's amazing football. It's beautiful to see. But sometimes I'd wish they'd just tighten up. And to be honest, what happened today was, compared to the Man City game, was Højbjerg was on the bench and they brought Højbjerg on. Now, because he'd already started, they took him off and then brought Skip on. And I thought, that's, it was very strange. But look, it's always West Ham and Spurs, isn't it? It's always West Ham and Spurs.
Again, listen, at the end of the first half, you would have sat there and you would have gone, what the fuck is going on? Like, what are we going to do? We're going to get at them. It's a overly dominant performance. You said it though at halftime, and everyone has noticed that when Spurs play so far forward in positional football, you're running the risk of being caught out. So, as our good friend Channel Nigel says, goals are fun, and they are. And if you play that way, you're always going to get goals. But what I said it, I don't know if you heard what I said, right? But if Ange Postecoglou commits to playing like that every single week, and he has clearly stated, I know this is not a Tottenham show, he's clearly stated he's going to play like that every week, no matter what. He's done it against Chelsea. We've spoke to Tonka, who spoke out and said exactly the same, like you were naive to do those tactics. But what he has really given is he's shown his hand to every single coach in the Premier League, because what they're saying is if you lose 2 players, you're still going to go at teams. If you lose 3 players, you're going to go at teams. If you have 11 players, you're still going to go at teams. So as much as we slag off Moyes ball, as much as we slag off West Ham not going at teams, can go at teams and not change. And that's what he's done in the last 5 games. He's not changing anything. So you're going to come up against a manager who's going to go, do you know what? I'm going to fucking low block you. You're not going to get past me. And I'm going to try and break you down slowly but surely. Okay.
And it was
defensive errors. But Spurs have that. Spurs have that in their system.
Yeah.
And if you deal with that, then you're never going to get so.
No, you're right. And I think when you look at it, we said at half time, we still came into the game 1-0. To be perfectly honest, we could have even been in 1-1 at half time if Paqueta had put that in. And so, yes, they had a lot of shots, but Fabianski did some good saves. But to be honest, most of them were reasonably sort of average saves. I wouldn't say they were spectacular saves. I think any keeper who's in goal would have got those saves. But it just seems, and we said it before in the previews and stuff like that. The Ange ball is the antithesis of Moyes ball, and actually, it played into our hands. It really did. You know, we've been poor the last few games, and I think it's because we've been playing against teams who have basically tried to out West Ham, out Moyes, and this was a different style of football. You could see clearly the game plan was given they can have the ball up until about our 30-yard line, and then that's it. That's it. Two banks of it was a 4 and a 5, and that was it. And if you play for us, fair play. And they tried. I was a bit frustrated sometimes that we didn't keep the ball well enough for our forward players.
We were so shit in the first half in particular.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I think there was a crazy stat, Russ. 20 minutes in, 90%
possession, 10% West Ham,
and 10% West Ham. But we had actually the 10% we had was Fabianski clearing the ball to Tottenham, and that was it. And I think at one point in the first half, I remembered West Ham getting the ball, having a run of possession for 5 passes, and then bang, Tottenham would regain possession again. And that was pretty dominant. But you kind of always felt that if you can keep that game at bay 1-0 going into the second half, I'm not saying, and I certainly didn't expect West Ham to win that game, but you felt like you would have a chance. And because there is errors there, the player that really stood out for me in particular was James Ward-Prowse in the second half. Because it was about his skillful set of passing. It was actually about his defensive duties, mate. He nipped in, he intercepted the ball. I've got his stats up here for you now. He played the full 90 minutes. He touched the ball 40 times with an 80% pass completion rate. 1 key pass. He was accurate with 25% of his crosses, accurate with long balls, 100% long ball attempt and 100% succession. Had 1 shot on target, scored the goal. He won 100% of his aerial duels and 50% of his ground duels. He had 2 interceptions, 2 successful tackles, and 1 big clearance in the game. So, you know, that was a kind of all-round performance. And when you look, what's interesting, Russell, when you look at his heat map, and we used to do this a lot, show you the heat map of James Ward-Prowse. He is everywhere, but not really what. Do you know how sometimes you see maps and they've got the really orangey and red color? He's yellow, but he is everywhere.
Yeah. I think also, again, one of the key things, it's very similar to that Burnley game, the decision by Company to take off the wing back. The decision to take off Højbjerg opened up that midfield to us straight away. It opened it up completely. And we, you know, as soon as Højbjerg came off, I thought, we've got this, because actually the midfield had so much more, could impose himself so much more in there. You know, as he said, Souček getting involved, getting literally toe ends, you know, so James Ward-Prowse everywhere, Alvarez making a nuisance of himself, Paqueta. There was about a 15-minute period in the second half where Paqueta was just obsessed of getting the ball, just all over the place. And it was like, if you had that another 2-3 times a game, you know, you got a hell of a player there. We know you've got a hell of a player, but it was just that sort of 15-minute time where he just couldn't get the ball off him. And could have easily grabbed another goal. Easily, I think, in that second half. You know, there's a couple of times the ball went across, and Zuma was very unlucky with the header off the corner from JWP. JWP now there's no midfielder in the Premier League with more goal contributions than him this season. And he's not in the Premier, and he's still not in England squad. And obviously Bowen's 50th goal for West Ham as well, which is a great thing. And as I said,
the thing is, and I know people in here are saying, like, some people are saying it's 2 errors. It doesn't matter though, because if you don't take that gamble, and that's the benefit of having a player like Jared Bowen, because he will take that gamble. You've got players like, listen, I wasn't impressed with Paqueta, particularly in the first half. I got more. He warmed up into the game in the second half. He probably Paqueta probably had 1 good quarter. And it was the last quarter he was really getting involved in the game. Souček doing really well. But another big shout out, mate, comes to Emerson. The one thing I noticed about Emerson tonight was he could take on 3 or 4 players, no problem at all. In actual fact, I felt like he was pulling the brakes sometimes when he was going forward. But mate, his interceptions, if I read you his stats, honestly, like he's where we get all this stuff from. Like, he scored up really high. He's like him and James Ward-Prowse, man of the match, really performances. But he had 3 clearances, 1 block shot, 5 tackles. He was successful in 8 from 12 ground duels. He had 75% pass completion rate, made one key pass. He was accurate with 50% of his crosses. He was accurate with 50% of his long balls. He was successful with 50% of his dribble attempts, and blocked one shot. I've not even got the interceptions involved because he was really highly involved in intercepting the ball tonight as well. Really impressed with Emerson tonight.
Yeah, me too. I've always been impressed with Emerson. I think he actually, and I know people are always critical of same as me, of this sort of Paqueta on the left-hand side. But what Paqueta does, he drags a player into the midfield and it gives Emerson so much space on that left-hand side to run into. And that's when he's most effective, when he's got the ball at his feet. And just the link-up play between him and Paqueta, particularly in that last half hour, was, he was the main, Emerson was the main outlet from the left-hand side. How many times did he get the ball past the Paqueta, ran the outside, overlapped, dinked it to him, and he went down the line to Bowen. And we look like, I think Maltese Hammer made a good point. One swallow doesn't the summer make, but it's true. It is true. We've come out the game. Ironically, we've had these two games. The Crystal Palace game and this game. And if you said we'd get 4 points, you'd be happy with that. I would have been happy with that, with 4 points. Arguably, it would have been probably 3 points against Palace and 1 point against Spurs, but still, it's not a bad return for the last couple of games. I think with there was a stat, we're undefeated in 5 now, I think, or something like that now.
Russ, I just want Russ, and to everyone who's watching right now, just for people that don't know, West Ham are 3 points from Spurs in the league.
Yeah,
West Ham are 3 points from Spurs in the league, and we've opened up a 5-point gap from the team below us. We're 7 points from Man City.
That's the key.
Yeah, we're 7 points from Man City,
and we go to Fulham on Sunday, and granted, Fulham did beat Forest 5-0 yesterday, but everyone's beating Forest at the moment. We beat Forest, so it doesn't really say much. But it's all about momentum, isn't it? That Burnley game, it wasn't exciting, but the last 5 minutes was amazing.
And Bowen's currently getting interviewed, and the first thing I clocked, what he said was, we've been very aware that we're conceding goals in the second half very early, and today we've not done it. And that's a starting point.
Yeah, good point. That is a good point. It is a starting point.
And I don't know what else. I'm over the moon. I'm probably shocked.
Yes.
But I'm shocked. I'm not shocked, and I am shocked. I don't know how else to explain it, mate.
I'm not shocked about the comeback because we never, that's one thing we can say about our Moyes side. It never gives up. It does keep on going. Now, granted, it does usually take us a goal to concede before we start get going. But this is third or fourth time. I know the Palace game out where we've gone behind and come back for a result. Before the Palace game, it was 3 last-minute winners in a row. That's not, that shows a level of fitness. That shows doggedness. That shows, a never say die attitude, and that's what we want at West Ham. It's just the bit before that we'd like to improve a little bit, so we don't have to wait for the last minute to score a winner. But it's so many games coming on. We've obviously the Fulham game and then the Freiburg game next week. It's all about momentum. It's all about keeping this going. And if we get a good result against Fulham, and we go into the Freiburg game only needing a draw to win the group, it's looking good, mate. It's looking good.
We're on obviously loads of West Ham chats and stuff like that, and Rich sums it up. It really doesn't get much better than that. It really doesn't, because whatever West Ham it is, it's not going to go to Spurs and take the game at Spurs in a London derby. They're not going to go to Emirates and take the game to the Emirates. They're not going to go to Old Trafford and take the game to them. But there's a bit of a game plan, and the game plan is, and I think it's really vivid to see against Ange Postecoglou. I really like him and I rate him, and I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to sit here and go, "Oh, West Ham beat you and you're a shit coach." I'm not saying that at all whatsoever. But I said it before when Dennis was on, and I was like, when you hand your cards out and you don't change, then teams will start to, a bit like what they say about West Ham. That's what we've had. People will start to work out what you do. But the one thing I've noticed with us is that we're not consistently shit or consistently good. We're kind of up and down throughout the whole game. And throughout that whole game, it's a roller coaster of emotions. People get bored by it, but that boredom can put you into 3 points from Spurs, who were sitting top of the league 3 games ago.
Yeah, you're right. I mean? You are right. You're right. And someone put football's a funny old game, and it is a funny old game. It is a funny old game, and that's what happens.
Let's bring Dennis on, man, because he looks like he is buzzing with life. Dennis, mate, go for it.
Death, taxes, Spurs bottling their cup final.
Can you breathe, mate? Because you sounded like you were massively buzzing there.
Mate, I woke one of my housemates up screaming for the James Ward-Prowse goal, but luckily for me, he's an fan, so he didn't care.
What a contrast, though, from looking at the two of you starting off the show earlier today.
Yeah.
What a contrast.
And half time as well. And half time as well.
But what I said is, you got to stay in it, and we relied on a couple of errors, but yeah, man.
Look,
Moyes' ball is back, baby.
Moyes' ball is back. It's always Spurs, isn't it? And he says, regardless of who's in the dugout, it's always West Ham and Spurs. And so, we can all enjoy it. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. You're going to go into work tomorrow and just laugh at your mates who are Spurs.
The thing is, in my entire team, none of them like football. Yeah. It also helps. I'm the only male member of my team, which also helps.
But it doesn't matter, mate. You need to tell them. Look, mate. I just had a message from someone saying, "What the fuck were you doing at the end of that match day live?" And I was like, "I don't really know," because I was singing a song and it wasn't about Moyes. I was like, "Ange Bo, Ange Bo, Ange Bo, Ange Bo, Ange Bo, Ange Bo, Ange Bo." But you know what? Look, first and foremost, mate, how you feeling?
It's one of those nights, one of those games where, because it's Tottenham, you feel it a bit more than you would do any other team.
Yeah.
And it's, do you remember when we played them in the League Cup? We were 2-0 down to them, and we come back in the second half and we beat them 3-2 when it was at Wembley that time. And I think I was so deflated in the first half, and then the second half happened, and it completely changed my mood. So I am buzzing at the shit house. This. You know what I feel about Moyes. You know how I am about Moyes, but this is the one game where I will excuse the shithousery and I will say yes, I'm all for it.
I don't care. I love shithouse football. I love it. There's nothing better. There's no better feeling in the world than getting that jammy win that you don't deserve against Spurs. There's nothing better than only one thing better than beating Spurs is beating Spurs with shithouse football. I love it. I live for this.
Their own ground as well.
Yeah, in their fortress.
Exactly.
Look. Exactly. You could say a game of two halves. I mean, it was a dominant Spurs performance in the first half, right? Absolutely. No one can remotely question it. I said to Russ before you came on that you couldn't help but feel that if West Ham maintained that 1-0, just the 1-0 coming into the first half time, that you've got a slight chance. And I think the key part was not conceding that second goal. How did you feel coming in at halftime, mate? Honestly, I mean, I was reading the chat. No one was remotely positive about it.
No, I found it excruciating. The first half, I found really excruciating. It's like the team was pissing all over us about scoring a load of goals. I think Fabianski could have done well better with the goal they scored. It was brilliant after that, by the way. That's a side note. The Paqueta chance, I thought was going to be massive because I thought the old Paqueta puts that there was something wrong with him in the first half. He wasn't on his game, and going in, I just thought to myself, I hope that he's not going to go in. The worst thing is when you come out second half, I was thinking we're going to concede early. It'll be 2-0 in the first.
We were saying the same thing, Russ, weren't we?
That's what I was worried about. But second half, look, we opposite world has occurred today because normally we're much better in the first half and we're playing catch up in the second half and we take a while to get going. He's taking tablets tonight, Moyes, because he gave a rock out their arse and normally puts them to sleep. It seems at half time. So second half, I don't particularly. I wouldn't want to see that football every single week because I think we're better than that. But in that type of game, when you've got the type of this, I said to I phoned up Kurt and Booze the other night. I said to him that this is probably, ironically, going to be the best chance we've got of beating a team like that because the way they play football. And funny enough, it's happened. It's occurred. So, I didn't say I foresee it. I'm not saying I'm a a future predictor, but it's worked.
Just gonna forward you with an amazing. I've got the Spurs fan in one of my group chats. He's bitten so bad. I've said so much for the Aussie Sam Allardyce, and I now have 11 unread messages all from him in the WhatsApp group. So I'll open those later. I'm seeing them flooding in. A lot of them are probably words that will get this channel demonetized.
Dennis, what inspirational, motivational chat did Moyes give at halftime, mate?
He got on the back of his horse and he said, they can take our lives, but they'll never take our Moyes ball. That's what he did with the face paint on and everything. But no, we were saying this at half time, weren't we, Russ? That turn the clock back about a year and a half. A lot of times we do come out the gates second half, like Chelsea at home when we turned it round 2-1 down at half time. That's sort of gone. We've had the opposite effect now, where second half they tend to have the cobblers on, and it's not until we concede that people start getting getting their tails up. Whereas we had the opposite. We came out, we were pressing them, we were pressing from the front, which is something we haven't done probably since the lockdown season or the beginning of the first season back after lockdown for me. So it was quite refreshing. And I think one of you were saying, just as I was in the backstage, that Bowen was saying about how we concede early and things like that. We've noticed on that. So it seems like a lot of the fans that seem to think that they don't take the stuff on board, and every fan base is going to have that. And sometimes I'm guilty of that. But it does appear that that situation that we've seen so many times this season is trying to be addressed, and we addressed it tonight. What better way to do it? I think we can't underestimate Fulham. I want exactly the same performance Fulham away. And Kudos was a little bit wasteful with some of his decision making. It was a bit frustrating, but the thing I said before about him getting the booking, he didn't get the booking, and look, he was running around like that for 8 until he went off, and that's what we need really.
Yeah,
so
you're totally right.
Whatever to answer your question, whatever Moyes said at half time, say it again, again and again and again. Just say it. It's probably better we don't know what was said, because that way no one else can steal the secret formula.
I'm just listening to Moyes now, and they're talking away to him. They're asking him how he's feeling about that game, and he's turning around and he's going, listen, there was squeaky. He's not said that, but he's basically said there was squeaky bum moments in the first half. We knew we had to turn the game around, but what he is delighted about is the desire, the determination in the second half to win every ball, to close them down. And he said, apart from the Richarlison chance, I don't really think there was anything really. I remember Fabianski making a save, but it wasn't really necessarily a crazy save.
There was the near own goal from Aguerd. That was the only scary one.
The Zuma one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh no, Aguerd did it
first half. Aguerd in the second half.
Second half.
Oh, he's talking about he was talking about the second half though in particular.
The first half was that kind of Aguerd's second half nearly stuck it in his own net.
But something that I was reminded of during this, and I think it was Alan Shearer on the commentary, and he said, well, West Ham have played 6 more games than Spurs this season, and quite possibly more than most of the other teams in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So he said that in the first half they looked leggy, but he said they got the legs in the second half. It was like they needed the first half just to get used to the game. And that listen, and over, like, I mean, look as well, and we and you have had many a chin wag over a text message and about our opinion and stuff like that. Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is that, and I'll bring this one to you, Luke. If you're a manager like Ange Postecoglou, who has clearly stated, no matter what, I'm going to go at a team. Are you playing your hand into? Are you giving the opposition coach the opportunity? Because if you look at the last 5 results, and Russ's conversation with the Tottenham fan is going, well, I'm now watching Spurs with my heart in my fucking mouth, and we've not won for 5 games.
Yeah, it's. I think Ange is the anti-Moyes, if you get what I mean. So you've got like 2 managers who are at the opposite end of the spectrum of how they want to play football. I've called Moyes one-dimensional for ages now. I think, to be honest with you, Ange's way of playing football is just as one-dimensional, just the other end, just the other way of doing it. It's entertainment-wise for a neutral is probably really good to watch. this is the thing with me, with where I come from with Moyes, is the fact that Moyes will do that for 90 minutes. Whereas I think there has to be some sort of game management in football. So fine, go for a team, go and try and beat them, try and go for 75 minutes. But if you're like 1-0 up and it's come to the last 10 minutes of the game and you're still trying to score the second, it might be cleverer to just try and go Moisey for the last 10 minutes. That's the difference between good managers and bad managers. Now, I respect and admire Ange for the way he wants to play, even though Spurs can't respect Spurs and all that malarkey. But I understand where he's coming from, and it's very admirable that he wants to entertain the fans, and he wants to win by high score lines, etc., etc. But at the same time, it's all well and good when that's going well, but then you realise how naive and susceptible it can be when you need a win. Yes, we're unbeaten in 6 now, playing, in my opinion, crap football. He's lost, and he hasn't won in 5 games or what you just said. So it's funny. Football is a funny old game because as much as Spurs are probably fun to watch, and their supporters have liked the fact they're going for games now. Whereas they had a really good start, it's now going the opposite direction. It's quite a funny way to think about it. But I think it is naive to do that all game. I don't mind if a manager wants to do it for a majority of the game or something, but you have to base the game in the way it's going. And look, second half, we've done that. We've done that tonight, and hands up, I respect that, and it's fantastic. But I think maybe. How long can Spurs do this for before it gets annoying?
Currently, that I have seen quite a lot of Spurs fans pre-game today, getting a bit frustrated at this, not frustrated at the style of the play. They're not getting results, and I'm not I'm not sitting here going, "Oh, woohoo, Moyes is the best." I'm absolutely not. Listen, I respect it. I'm the same as you. Look, I respect what Ange is doing in terms of his style of play, but today, I'm looking at the second half now. They're showing highlights, and what I find really interesting is when West Ham break, Kudus cuts back. He looks for the ball from JWP, and before that ball lands on JWP's foot, Sufal and Emerson have made the overlapping run at the wing backs, and they've cut Tottenham defense like shreds. And then JWP's just whipped his ball up over the top, and Sufal was breaking each of their wing backs because they're committing too far forward all the time. Now, listen, I think when you come up against better structured teams, because there are better structured teams in the Premier League, we're not going to be able to do that. Because I think Moyes does probably take game by game tactics. I agree with that. I think he probably looks at Spurs and goes, well, we know we're going to get a chance tonight. We absolutely know we're going to get a chance tonight. It's just about maintaining that pressure. And Shearer said it. He made a comment. He said, "It's all right you're doing all this football, but if you're not going to get results, it doesn't matter." And then someone said something about a party. What was it? They said you don't have to be the life and soul of the party to have a good night, or something like that.
Yeah, I know you come.
It was some comment.
At times.
Yeah, but listen, the first half wasn't good, but I as a West Ham fan, obviously preferred the second half, not just because of the goals, but the tactics were better and were less low block than what the first half was. Dennis?
Yeah. And again, I don't get. If we have 2 shots on goal all game and both of them go in and we win 2-1, worse or better. I've never ever had a problem with style of football as long as we win. I had no problem with Allardyce until we sort of flunked the second half of that 14-15 season, or looked dead in the water around Christmas time 2013. And in the Championship season, first season back in the Prem, I was not Allardyce out. I don't care if we play beautiful football as long as we win, or ugly football as long as we win. So go on, Moyes, go on the shithouse.
I don't know if you've just seen that stat come in there. Look, very interesting stat that Matt sent in. So Spurs are the first side in the Premier League history to lose 3 consecutive home matches after going 1-0 up.
Jesus, well, we love making history at Spurs, don't we?
We certainly do.
We were the first ones to score there, first ones to beat them, and we were the first team ever in the Premier League to come from 3-0 down to draw in the last 10 minutes. What are we going to do next year? What are we going to do next year? Win the league there? I don't know. Oh, wait, Arsenal have done that, to be fair.
I mean, look, mate, I've seen your social media today, mate. I mean, you've been spraying You've been spraying the little one with West Ham tops on. You've been doing all these memorable quotes and saying Spurs are shit and all that sort of stuff, mate. So you've been lapping it up, loving life, and
I've had a day off work, mate. That's why I'm taking for
and I don't blame you, mate. I mean, I know it's got that little bit of an extra special vibe when it comes against Spurs, in particular at their home stadium, and in particular probably when most West Ham fans thought we were. But I kind of, for being the positive guy that I am, I kind of thought we would get beat. Deep down, I thought we'd get beat, and loads of West Ham fans thought we'd get smashed. So I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked.
Yeah, in the 11th minute, I thought we were done. Like we were 1-0 down and everything.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
But the other thing I've just noticed, lads, for the viewers, this is how hard I celebrated the Ward-Prowse goal. I've now got a small cut on my hand where I slapped the desk. That's how hard I celebrated the Ward-Prowse goal.
Well, I'm waiting for the moment that Cess puts a message in the chat. I mean, he's probably gone missing because he literally, whenever he's at the game, and he'll have jumped 25 rows.
Yeah.
I've been to a game with him before. Like, he will jump 25 rows. Like, he's mental, and I don't blame him. And he's obviously a lucky
I was meant to go tonight. That's why I had a day off work, and I've had money stuff going on, and it just wasn't working out. So I was meant to go with my brother to watch the game, and it's part of it 1-0 down. I was thinking, do you know what? I didn't go tonight because it would have been. This looks like it could be a drubbing. Shouldn't say that because I should always be able to go and watch West Ham. So that's bad on me. I'm ashamed of myself. But in the end of it, what a game to miss and not go to. But I watched it at home, the comfort of my own home, and I say comfort, I was like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, biting my nails and all that. So
what I will say to you, Romulus, and anyone in the chat, right? I think there's a time and a place for having the debate about the Moyes in and Moyes out, right? This is not the place. And it's not just because West Ham won, but I think the debate tonight should be about loads of questions. Are you first and foremost, most of us, surely all of us will be happy about the result. Secondary, no one will be happy about the first half. No one will be happy about the first half. Secondary, you should feel that was better in the second half. The other thing I will say though is Tottenham do this against every team. So this is not unique to West Ham that Tottenham took the game to West Ham and demolished West Ham in the first half. Tottenham have done this in every single game they've played. They've done it against Man City. They've done it against Newcastle. They've done it against everybody in the Premier League this season. And I'll tell you what now, I've been watching Prime all night, and Prime have been telling me from the start of this game, and they've been building the game up, that this is going to be a domination.
I was about to say, this is what I was going to cut into it, because they've been waxing. Well, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, go for
it. From the start, they've been waxing lyrical about Tottenham, about the way they play, and it's look, I'm as much as I'm not. This is regardless of Spurs, from a biased and neutral perspective. It's quite interesting how much we like to see good football, if you get what I mean. So they've had Conte and Mourinho, both results-based managers. Hasn't worked out. They've now got Ange, and he's played, nicer football to watch. I think that's what the media, obviously, they were 9 games on wherever they were unbeaten and stuff like that. So I can understand where they're coming from. But from the start, there was nothing about West Ham that I could see. There was nothing about, we were 6 games unbeaten, whatever. And, I suppose the football isn't media friendly. So they weren't going to talk about the way we played until the game started unfolding. Alan Shearer couldn't talk any highly about it. But you could tell they were once we went 1-0 up, even the commentary was like, here they go, they're going to win 3 or 4-0 now. And you could just see the panel's faces at the end of the game that they weren't happy, that they were shocked that Spurs didn't get the win, and they were trying to find positives for West Ham, because we caused an upset tonight, or let's say cup set, because it's of course our cup final, isn't it?
That's right, mate. That's right. And it's funny though, because for all that positive stuff they were talking about, they're very quick to throw out some crazy stats regarding Postecoglou, because another stats just come up there is that they've lost 16 points from winning positions this season, so they're number 1 for losing points from winning positions this year.
I can remember when we were always the team that threw away points.
Yeah.
Pellegrini, the other teams, in early days of Moyes, yeah.
The other teams they're around are all the teams in the bottom of the half. West Ham, yes, okay, we're 6th on that list, but they're around the rest of the teams. It's Tottenham number 1, then it's like Bournemouth and Burnley and etc. from going 1-0 up and jumping down as well.
I picked up on that as well. The Paqueta's smile when he won that free kick, smiling at the Spurs fans, and it was just like
to West Ham Network.
You what?
Is it when Paqueta's won the free kick right at the end of the game. He smiled and looked up, knowing that he'd won the free kick. And I've just posted it. I've just found a bit of photos. I've just posted it to the socials. So yeah,
I'm just sorry. I'm going to let you quickly talk for a minute. I'm listening to Ange. What he's going to say. He's fucking depressed. He is depressed right now. Dennis, mate, what do we do moving forward?
Adapt. So, like games like this, where you're away from home against better teams, this is the type of performance we need, not the sort of shit or dross we pulled out against Burnley, where I'd argue we were probably luckier against Burnley than we were here, purely because Burnley really should have been 2-0 up by the time we got anything back. And it was a fumbling, Mabama got in the right position, but it was a fumbling sort of thing to equalise. It was both of our goals. We done it by pressing and causing them to make a mistake in both of those instances, and much better opposition. Moving forward, I keep saying we can't be Moyes is one-dimensional, but there's variations to that dimension. We played very differently tonight than we have done pretty much all season, I would argue. If we played a bit more like this against Liverpool away from home, I reckon we probably would have got a draw up there.
See, that's when it works, it works. You can't moan at it. When it doesn't work and you can see something needs to change and it doesn't change it, that's when it frustrates me.
Yeah, it's like when I don't change it, it's not an awful lot of change. There's just a couple of tweaks here and there. A couple, like having this kind of attacking lineup instead of Antonio, for example. It hasn't really worked. In-form peak Antonio would have been perfect tonight, but we've not got him. He's injured, and before he got injured, he was massively out of form. But yeah, a couple little tweaks. It's strange what happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look, James Ward-Prowse has been, for some fans, quite, some fans calling for him to potentially be dropped and looking at trying to play a different style of play. If anything, he was probably my most impressive player in the second half. He nipped in, intercepted the ball, and he was really clever in some of his movement he was doing. He was piercing passes, etc. And I think that came down to the fact that our tactics worked better in the second half. Couple of things. What do you think of James Ward-Prowse, and who was your kind of standout player for West Ham in the second half?
First half, it was Kudus by a mile. Second half, I would probably say, and this might be a bit left field, but I think Emerson was mine.
He was fucking phenomenal, mate. He was phenomenal.
It's interesting because I think Alan Shearer quoted that he's been amazing this game. He's been amazing for us all season, and if not the end of last season as well. But Ward-Prowse is a fantastic player at what he does. I think he surprised a lot of West Ham fans when he came in. The goals he was scoring, the assists he was getting, the way he was playing, it was different to where we thought he was going to be. And he hasn't been on form lately, and I'm not sure whether for me there's two reasons why a player loses form. Either they get worked out by the opposition, or the manager changes the way that they play in that team. And I'm not sure what Moyes has done to him, but recently he hasn't been on form. This is one of those moments where, as much as I would want to say he played really well personally, I mean, did get the goal, brilliant, fantastic. He was one of many, because they all played well second half. They couldn't fault any of them. He just happened to be there to score, well, almost miss. Let's be honest, hit the post and come back. He was very lucky, but he did get the winner. I just think on his day he's fantastic. But this is the problem: is that when you sign a player like Ward-Prowse, you kind of know what you're getting, and it does take, if we're going to rely on set pieces, we've got to try and be a set piece team. We've got to try and go down for these shit house 3 fouls and go down for everything. We don't normally know how to do it, but it was fantastic tonight. Hopefully he can use this to push on and in future games get back to his best, because I don't know what's been up with him lately. I don't know whether it is Moyes and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not going to, tonight's not the night, I don't think, to criticise people, especially with the way that the second half was. It's taken me by surprise, to be honest with you. I can't believe we that's Moyes bought his bet. That's Moyes bought as
well. I think it's taken people by surprise, me included, because if West Ham play a low block against a team that play an absolutely relentless approach to coming at you, you think that relentless approach is going to eventually lead to goals. But I just listened to Ange there, and he said we created good opportunities and we need to be more clinical. But what I don't remember was real clear-cut chances. I think I remember, obviously, Romero's goal, which I think was actually a bit of a crap goal. I was really disappointed at defending for that. Romero should never got in between the two players he did. And Fabianski's positioning, he was on his knees for some weird reason and couldn't get any height for it. But Then the Richarlison chance in the second half. But I remember Spurs playing side balls in our just on the edge of our 18-yard box and really couldn't penetrate our defense at that point. And in the second half in particular, because Alvarez was stepping up. Paqueta found his legs suddenly. And Jared Bowen was dropping in and doing his duties. Everyone was working as a team, and I think that's where the endeavour and the fight and the contribution coming out from the whole team. But just quickly on Emerson, played the full 90 minutes. I said it earlier in the start. He had 3 clearances, 1 block shot, made 5 successful tackles. He won 75% of his ground duels, of which he attempted 12 ground duels and won 8 of them. He was fouled loads of times. He had 56 touches. He had accurate passes, 75%. He was accurate in his crosses with 50% of them, 50% of his long balls attempted as well, and 50% of his dribbles attempted were successful. He had 1 shot blocked at the same time. His heat map on that whole left-hand side was dominant. I actually felt like he put the brakes on sometimes when he was going forward.
They had to be careful how far they went forward, I think, in case they lost the ball. Can I just say, even though we did defend like absolute warriors, I don't think I can take that for like consecutive games. My heart was in. I know it's Spurs away, but my heart was in my mouth, and I don't think I can handle that.
I was going to say, with the exception of the cup final, last couple of minutes was probably the most nervous I'd been. It was like you had that, like to sort of steal it from West Ham clips. You had the nosedive sound with the dog being terrified of the biscuits or whatever it is in my head a lot. But yeah, the other thing I'm going to put out to you is one thing I think that improved us massively is obviously he gets criticised for what he did a couple of years ago, and some people saying that he shouldn't be captain because of it. Often Man United fans, I have to just turn around and say that they can't really talk about players' conduct. But having Zuma back and that leadership at the back, I think really got us over the line. Zuma, had not necessarily a standout performance of his, but a good performance, and I think it really makes a difference having that settled back 4. Like no flies on Mavropanos. I think he's a very talented centre back and needs a run of games. But I think Zuma's leadership alongside Aguerd, we were missing against Palace second half, and I think that also helped us get us over the line. So I want to give a little shout out for our resident cap kicker. So
fair play.
Fair play. Listen, there's so many comments in. I mean, the Hustle Crow saying the Moyes effect. Narky saying Spurs took themselves down to 10 by bringing on Richarlison. I mean, he did find himself in it. He did done a couple of decent things in the game, but I think essentially West Ham probably bossed him about. That was the key part for me, was really being slightly dickish and showing that strength and domination on the ball. And we wanted that little bit of we tried to show it in the first half. We couldn't even get anywhere near them. That was the difference really for me, was getting near them in the second half. We were never winning first balls. We were never winning second balls. We started to do that in the second half, regain possession, hold on to possession, be calm in our build-up play. And we got a lot of success down that left-hand side, in particular with Emerson down there. Bowen, though, coming back, doing his duties, doing his job. Kudos, albeit sometimes gave the ball away. You can always see he's going to be a threat.
He was knackered second half. He was knackered.
Yeah, he ran his fucking socks off, though, hadn't he?
Almost all of our players were dead second half. That's why I was a little bit like, I know they're not the best quality, but I'd use a few subs if I were you. I'll bring Mabama on and get Bowen off, because Bowen was dead on his feet, especially after that very good Fowley one. But the Fowley one, like with about 7 minutes to go, where he got kicked from behind. I thought after then, I was like, right, I wouldn't risk him pulling his knee up. I'd possibly either do your party trick of sticking Paqueta up top, or bring Mabama on and just lump it up to him and have him run at them and scare him. But only one sub to their 5. Hey, it did. He got criticised for it on Saturday. It worked tonight. Broken clock's right twice a day.
Big shout out for the excellent match commentary and the outstanding celebration where West Ham scored way, excelling anything seen on the pitch. It does that, brings it out to your face. I can't breathe, mate. I can't breathe, honestly. Bowen did very well not to tilt JWP's pinball wizardry. Well done, boys. Good comeback. Still drives me mad that it did not destroy Palace tonight. Proves that this team's capable of. And I think that's what makes it really... That second half performance against Spurs and you put that second half performance in against Palace, and we walk away with 3 points. Yeah. So the inconsistencies, and I can get that frustration.
This was almost the classic West Ham of old match where you don't play particularly well for consecutive games, and then you get Spurs away, or a top 6 team away or home, and everyone plays their socks off, and everyone is going, why can't we play like this every week? And yes, we're seeing a better team now, where we are in the table, where we are in the cup, where we are in Europe, etc. But I think there's still a little bit of old West Ham that's been in there this season, and it's like I said, that's what's been pissing me off lately. The way we've been playing, I think we're better. We're a team capable of a lot better, but a win's a win, and that performance, it wasn't pretty, but it was true grit, and I'll take that all day long, especially under circumstances.
Yep, you can say that again. Listen, lads, I don't think we've got anything else we need to say. We could go on all night.
I know you want to go to bed.
Yeah. We've got life.
Other than, I've one. I don't know what the hell happened there, but I've got one thing to say before we go off air, which is jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to see our shit house away. That's my closing thoughts on that one.
3 points. 3 points from Spurs. Yeah. 7 points from top 4.
We're going to shit house the league now, aren't we? Let's face it.
We're winning the league.
We're going to get Champions League football. We're going to win Europa League. Yeah. We're going to get Europa League. FA Cup.
New contract for Moyes.
10 years.
10 more years. 10 more years. David Moyes. 10 more years.
Oh, God.
I know. I said after the Luton game, we're winning the league, and it's back on now. The league is back on.
Listen, thank you very much for joining us. This is the West Ham Network. I've been Anton, he's been Dennis, and he's been Lucky Boy. West Ham have won. Yes, we beat Spurs, and Spursy played a Spursy game. And Ange Ball versus Moyes Ball. And who came out on top? Moyes Ball. Anyway, take it easy, everyone. And of course, come on, you wonderful Irons.